Very good morning, one and all present here as my audience. Firstly, I would like to thank you, Ms. Priyanka, for inviting me as well as for giving me an opportunity that I will share my views and my concept with the audience. Thank you for your kind words also, which you are mentioned in your introduction video, as well as because today is the concept for talk is the public accountability in emerging trend. So as you know that it is a Facebook live session, so I have no idea and no clue about my audience, that about their background, that proportion, like the legal and non-legal. So I just before starting want to explain why I opted this topic for today's talk. The basic idea behind this concept is to aware the audience with the emerging trend, which is named as the public accountability in the legal system in the present scenario. So when we generally discussing about any social legal issue, the very first thing which comes to my mind as a that you can say a researcher, or as a that the citizen of the country, obedient citizen of the country, that is I always teased by the corruption in the administrative system. So, and the corruption is in administrative system has many reasons. And the my concept is something related to that only. The very first thing, which is about the administrative issues we discussed, is like non-implementation of the uh, legal laws and the policies. Secondly, about the lack of transparency. There is a still a belief in the people that the things are not too transparent in the administrative system. Though, to curb with all the above mentioned issues which I mentioned, like the corruption, the lack of transparency, and the non-implementation of the legal policies and the laws, there was a very famous, that act was come into the picture in the year 2005, which was named as, that Right to Information Act 2005. I don't think so any of my audience as well as the other one is not aware about the Right to Information Act. This is the one which is very common to all. But the critics of this act says that it is a toothless tiger. They believe that though this act is solving the above mentioned problem, which I already explained, that corruption and the less transparency, but that is not purely curb the issues. So the recent trends using by our honorable judiciary to deal with such administrative issues is called as public accountability, to fix the personal responsibility of the public authority. So let me explain you what is this concept. That is where the public authority held personal responsible for their own act or omission by the judiciary by demanding compensation, penalties, and damages from their personal pocket in case of the default or guilty by the public authority. So, as we know that India is one of the largest democratic country, and democracy remains a paper procedure if the administration of that country cannot be answerable and accountable to the people of that country. So, here the point to understand is what is the actual meaning of the accountability. So let me explain you. The accountability is the another name of the liability and responsibility, which we generally use in the word, like in our day routine, as a you're responsible for this, you're not responsible for this, I'm liable for this, you're not liable for this, kind of language which we generally used. But this word is the something like very fixed with the word, that is accountability. So, if a public office abuses his office either by his act or omission, in the consequences of that, there is an injury to an individual or public at large, he must be held personally responsible for that. Now the point is, I just explaining you the accountability, but my topic is about public accountability. The concept of this public accountability turn not generally or by its own as a public accountability. When this accountability is fixed with as a public accountability, it means it come into the public at large. It is more accessible, it is more open than the accountability, then it is called as a public accountability. So I'm talking about the public accountability where the general people are the public authority is accountable or responsible to the public at large, at more large level. So by concluding the above all which I mentioned is that the public accountability is a hallmark of the modern democratic governance. This is a kind of emerging concept which no one can be against it, like the Right to Information Act. It is the one which is acceptable to all because it is the one of the tool which is acceptable by all to cope with the many administrative issues which the people are facing as a problem. So the point is why this concept is in trend in this, because I'm mentioning it as an emerging trend. So the answer of this question is that I basically find this concept many places, but there are two basic places where I find it very recently. The one is that in the public speeches or the political discourses, you will find it very general one. Secondly, the judiciary is using it very frequently. And another also that is it is very repeatedly used in the public documents that the responsibility and accountability of the one who is the guilty. So the reason for this emerging trend which I find is that transparency and the trustworthiness. And mind you, believe me, my audience, that they both are the one which is creating such kind of image by which the public can satisfy themselves, like that yes, later or sooner we can cope with the issues. So whenever we talk about the transparency, accountability and responsibility, the very first picture come to my mind, and I think your mind will be also, is like right to information is also based upon the same concept. So you may misconcept that this accountability, public accountability concept is somewhere I am chosen from the right to information. So just to clear you that no, the both concepts are not the from the public accountability is not from the right to information, but both concepts are the tools to strengthen the democracy. If you go with the preamble of the Right to Information Act 2005, then it is based, it is mentioned there that this Right to Information Act has an aim and objective to strengthen the democracy. And this public accountability has also the same aim and objective, that is to strengthen the democracy. So yes, I accept it that both the topics, both the things are the tools to strengthen the democracy which we need, because we are the largest democracy of the world, one of the largest. So now the question is that which one is the legislation for the concept of personal accountability of the public authority for their acts or omissions, which may be called as a default or the guilty of the public authority? So the answer of this question is, of course, my research. That is, there is no direct or clear-cut legislation which is called as Public Accountability Act. So where this is something where the public authority is personally liable for their act or omission. And the question is that, now the next question is where the origin of this place lies. So let me enter into the Indian Constitution to answer this thing. That is the preamble of the Constitution itself, where they are mentioning that yes, it enriches the idea of securing social justice, economic justice, and the political justice to all its citizens. So the point is that by this aim and objective of the Constitution, we can conclude that our judiciary is very independent judiciary. We know about the concept of the separation of the power, and you can say that independent judiciary is an cornerstone of the democracy. Now that there are many instances in India where the Indian judiciary substitute their own opinion for the existing laws. So concept of public accountability is result of when judges act like legislator under the concept of judicial activism. Under this concept, the judicial quest is administrative matter is to strike the fair balance between the administrative discretion and the government policies to decide the matter. So, by the concept of this personal accountability for the public, like by fixing the public authority personally liable and personally responsible for their action, is something which the judiciary given the solutions. So, let me give you the best example to understand this concept of the public accountability, which is lies in the Right to Information Act itself. You know that about the State Public Information Officer, SPIO is the short form of that, where the people are like the where the SPIO is personally answerable for the information in a given specific time period, and if he is not able to, then his responsibility is fixed by the SIC, State Information Commission. And you know that if the State Information Commission find that no, he is a guilty, he's not performing his duty well, in that case, the SIC can fix a penalty on SPIO for not providing information. That penalty is the personal public accountability of that public officer, of that public authority. So this is very interesting to know that when we talk about like know that there is no implementation of the laws and the legislations, so such kind of concepts which are such kind of examples which are emerging recently, that the person who is answerable for their actions will fix personally liable, right? And they may pay damages or compensation to the public for their wrong acts, is the something sanction which is very much required, because you know that it's not about our country, it is about any country will talk. The person is always working well with a sanction, and this is the kind of sanction on the people, right? That yes, if the one is not functioning well, if they are not acting according to due process of law and according to the procedures, in that manner they will be personally liable for their acts. So this is the wonderful example which I believe that I can cite to my audience. So before proceeding further, let me tell you that why this is a emerging trend, why I am again and again emphasizing that it is something recent. The answer is that when we talk about the traditional method, then it was the scenario like that the one department and one organization, the public officer or the public authority of that organization is always you can say that is behind the curtain. They are the corporate veil concept, that when the organization, the authority is the same, and if there is any default, that if that organization is coming to the fault, then that the personal responsibility of the dealing hand will not be fixing it. It will be go to the whole organization. But now the judiciary is changing the trends, and they are emerging this public accountability concept where they are answering the dealing hand personally, that what is your opinion, to fix them personally liable. So I find it is really nice, and to explain it more, let me give you another example. If I'm going to give you the imagination that how you will find the issues in the administrative system, then the very first thing which come into the mind is about the administrative planning, which may be faulty. The second one is about the execution of that planning, which may be corrupted. And the third one is the accountability, right? The question is that if the public authority is fixing personally liable for the faulty planning and for the corrupted execution, so I believe the issue 1 and 2 will be solved by on. So public accountability, or the fixing the personal responsibility of the authority, is such kind of concept which is giving very nice kind of solution to the issues which the people were finding in the administrative system from a very long time period. So the next thing which I need to mention is that where is the when the first concept, that is the EP Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu. This is the All India Report 1974 Supreme Court 555 page on the page. So this is the landmark of this concept where the judiciary first time talk about this concept. So I believe this is the concept. All of you know otherwise, but when we talk, it is in the compilation form. It is the concept where the people are getting know that yes, now the one person who is public authority, I hope that all of you are understand that here the public authority means the one who belongs to the constituted authority, who belongs to the one who is called as the public officer, the one who is come into the category of the public office. So the one who is previously getting the benefit as a public officer is now going to be answerable and accountable for their act and omission, is very, is a very landmark kind of things is going to be in our country. I feel that the concept of transparency and the right to information is also, this is the next advanced stage of that. So let me sum up my whole you can say the discussion on the concept, that in this concept it is the Indian judiciary who plays an important role. I'm again mentioning that it is a wonderful creation of our uh, judicial activism, and it is the judiciary who provides justice by an informal manner to the victim of the abuse of power. Here, the public office is held responsible and personally liable to pay costs from their own pocket. You understand that own pocket? When the own pocket is come into the picture, the sense of responsibility, the sense of transparency, the sense of accountability is more and more increasing in the authority, in the mind of the public authorities. So let's talk about the benefits of this concept, which I think that yes, uh, if this concept, this emerging trend is go ahead with more and more strong implementation, then it will cause less corruption, of course, the more transparency, and the very other important thing, that is no abuse or misuse of the power, the just and fair administration, and the responsible public office and authority. So, if there is a responsible